What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Soul Seat Conversations, episode 10. It's been a minute. We literally did do one last month, but we did it at the very beginning of the month. So it feels like for me, I don't know if it feels like this for y'all, but it feels like for me, it's been a long time, okay? What's going on, Mr. Fobbs? What's going on, Brianna? Welcome, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. So we officially start at 12, but I like to come on for a little bit, just kind of talk about who I am, what we do, and also why Soul Seat Conversations exist. What's up, Dana? So again, my name is Soliel. I am the owner and I'm the CEO of Soul Rise Essentials. And what we do is we offer unisex affirmation merch for resilient humans on the grow and for their littles. And what that means is your kids, okay? We make stuff for the little ones too, y'all, to keep them feeling joyful, that keep you feeling joyful. And we also exist to create community. So one of the ways that we do that, what's going on, Lisa? One of the ways that we do that is through Soul Seat Conversations. So I started that maybe about a month or two after I started my business, and it's just one of the ways for me to create community with people. Since I'm building the Soul Tribe, like this is a really active way that we do that. Instead of just saying that we do it, instead of y'all just having necklaces that say Soul Tribe, like no, we are the Soul Tribe. We are creating a global physical community, a global digital community, and it feels really good. What's going on, Mary? I'm so happy that y'all are joining me. It feels so good to be back. There's so much going on, which is why I always log on a little bit early to kind of catch y'all up to speed, because it's a lot going on, okay? So we have a special guest joining us. Her name is Andrea Starr, and she's going to be joining us in a minute, but again, we won't get started with her until about 12, so let me catch y'all up, okay? While we're waiting on Andrea, what announcements do I have? I got a lot, so just hold on. So our 1 year anniversary is next week, next Thursday. That's crazy to me. This year has gone by so fast. I have learned so much. I have hopped over more obstacles in this 1 year as a business owner and just as a person. I ain't gonna say it in my whole lifetime, because that's exactly why this business and this brand exists. What's up, Andrea? I'm just going through some little back end stuff, but I'm gonna join you in just a few minutes. But thank you for coming. We got Mary in the house. She's supporting you. Lisa, Mr. Fobbs, Brianna. We already got a couple people in here. So yes, y'all, our 1 year anniversary. I'm so excited. So we having a party. That's one of my announcements. We're gonna be back in this office. Okay, turning up. We are gonna have a toast, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's water, a spirit, some wine, some juice. I might have some fresh juice, like an orange or like a yellow for the business colors, but it's gonna be a party. So I need y'all to report back here, okay, on the IG Live next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we having a party. We're going to celebrate. I'm going to have you guys ask me questions. I'm going to have people from the Soul Tribe come and join me live just to talk about what the brand means to them, what their affirmation apparel means to them, how they feel when they wear it, and some other things. We might do some giveaways. I don't know. We might do some sales. I don't know. You have to come and you have to find out. And I have some other surprises too, but I can't spill all the beans right now. But I would love for y'all to come. I've already invited everybody on Facebook. I've already invited everybody on TikTok. So y'all will have to be there because we on Instagram. So it just makes sense, right? We also have some new merch coming. So we are actually part of a couple accelerator and cohort programs. My front door is open. My neighbor might be cutting his grass. So if you hear that, just tune it out. But what that means for us is more exposure, more opportunity, more financial opportunity. So I'm really excited to be bringing you all some new merch. So you can kind of see one over here. Well, this way. I got the thing flipped. So we have some bucket hats coming. We got some other stuff coming. I can't tell y'all everything, but I do have a Facebook group. If you want to be a part of it, it's private and it is for you all to connect with each other, to connect with me more personally, but also most importantly, it's like a focus group. So you can give your feedback on design options that we may have coming up. So if you like to give your opinion, if you want to be able to see something in our shop, that you can say, I had a hand in choosing that. Like that was my idea. Like literally just hit me up. Send me a DM and let me know that you want to be part of that Facebook group. What else we got going on, y'all? Also, we are curating a playlist, a feel-good playlist. So if it's a song that you go to when you're having a down day, if it's a song that I love singing love songs to myself. Like I love Stevie Wonder. That's my boo. That's my bae. You can't tell me that I was not brought up in the 70s. I love me some Stevie Wonder. Even though he makes love songs, a lot of his songs, like for me, I feel like they lift me up as a woman and as a person. Isn't she lovely? Yes, duh. So Stuff like that, like things that make you feel good, like when it's hot outside and you put your windows down and the wind is blowing, like those songs, okay? Pick me up. Any type of song that makes you think of this vibe. A pick me up, a happy song, positive song, something catchy with a beat, something that makes you dance. Like this playlist is going to be curated for the Soul Tribe family. So when you need that pick me up, you go to these songs. Okay. So send me some ideas. If you're on my email list, which you should be on the email list already, just go to soulriseessentials.com. It's going to be a pop-up that comes up. You put your email on it and you will get 15% off your purchase. And you will also get access to all the stuff that I'm talking about, because the email list finds out about everything first. And I've already been getting some emails from them, but I also wanted to extend the invite to you all to send me some songs, because I want to debut that playlist on our anniversary next week. Okay. So join the festivities. I talked about that. I think that's it. Okay. I missed y'all. Did y'all miss me? Okay. Don't all speak up at once, but I'm so excited to bring my next guest on. There's so much I can say about this lady, but before I do that, I also just want to make sure I said everything I'm supposed to say before she comes on. I've already talked to you about why Soul Seek Conversations exist. Of course, we sell affirmation apparel. We do have products on hand, right? But aside from the products, our main goal is to help people think about their mind first, to mind their mind. So we're creating a global family around that concept. So Soul Seek Conversations is just one of the ways, because we got more ways coming in the future. We just a baby, y'all, a baby in the business. But we create community. We wish to connect and share new ways for you to thrive on your personal wellness and healing journey. So that's what we do here at Soul Seed Conversations. We share resilient stories from around the world. I live in Virginia, so a lot of the people that come on this platform are from Virginia, but we've had people in Connecticut. We got folks coming in California. Where else? Philly. That's a city. Y'all know what I mean. Pennsylvania. Where else? It's escaping me right now. But if you have a personal resilient story that you want to share, email me. Ain't no more DM, y'all, because we got an email specifically for Soul Seed Conversations. It's my story at soulriseessentials.com. So if you've overcome something, you're in the midst of overcoming something, we don't want to just hear the story. We want to hear how you are thriving through it, how you have thrived through that thing, right? Because I know that like a lot of people in the wellness space and the trauma-informed space, a lot of people just want to talk about like, be down in the dumps about what they've gone through. Like life is tough. We already know that. And I have my resilient necklace on, which is on our website, by the way, gold, silver, and rose gold. This is a reminder, a personal reminder for me that things are going to happen again, right? But the things that I've gone through before in my personal life and in my business, I've bounced back from all those things better, like literally better. So resilience to me is how you show up after those hurdles. It doesn't mean you got to bounce back right away, honey. That bounce back could be a year from now, it could be 10 years from now, but you came back and you came back bigger and you came back better and you came back smarter. So that's what it means to me. I know y'all coming in to see Andrea, so I'm going to bring her in. All Across the Board LLC, thank you for joining us. What's going on, Robin? All right, y'all. So Andrea Starr, she holds a really special place in my heart. And before I bring her on, the last responsible thing I have to say, I got to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. We are not professionals. We are just thrivers sharing our lived experiences. So something you hear like a suggestion or what somebody else is doing, just take it as that, just a suggestion. And I always seek a medical professional, somebody that's trained and, have letters behind their name specifically in the wellness space. Definitely reach out to those people, but we are experts in our lived experience. So that's what the Soul Seed Conversation is all about. Sharing our stories, not trying to give you any like advice for you to do something, but just things for you to think about, right? And also a trigger warning. So a lot of our conversations are very deep, very personable, hence the soul seed, right? We talking about things that involve our soul, some of the most intimate things in our lives, right? So it's going to be triggering for some people. So we will be talking about like domestic abuse and mental illness, things of that nature. So I just wanted to get that out the way. All right, Andrea, I promise I'm done talking, at least about that. All right, so I'm going to bring you in. Request to join, invite to join. She's so beautiful, y'all. Wait till y'all see her face. She always makes me smile. There she is. How you doing today?
Hi. I want you to see what I'm wearing today.
What you got on?
What do I have on, Soleil?
Oh, you got your pack light. Yay! And you have on your Soul Tribe necklace.
shirt on, my Soul Tribe necklace. I don't have my hat on, but it's right here. So
Yes.
when I leave today, it will be on my head.
I love it. Let me fix my camera a little bit because I want people to be able to see certain things while we're talking. Let me pull my chair. All right, there we go. How you feeling today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Can you
We've
hear
been
me?
talking about this for a while. So, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm excited. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm so happy to finally be here and have the opportunity to chat with you and just be of hopefully some sort of inspiration to others. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Sharing our stories, transparent.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so grateful for you coming on this platform. So I'm going to tell the people just a little bit about you from my perspective. And then I also want you to tell them who you are and what you do. So this is Andrea Starr. She's the CEO of Forward Foundation VA. And this platform, I normally don't talk about, like, unless it's at the end, get your personal promotion thing on. But I don't want the focus to be on what people are doing. It's who you are being. Who are you? How did you get to that place of what you're doing, right? That's the focus. But Forward Foundation is phenomenal. And they have a large part of me, just my personal life, and also one of the reasons why I was able to successfully start my business. So I would be remiss if I didn't shed a little bit of light on that. But also, Andrea just has one of the most warm spirits that I've ever met. It's something about your face and your presence. It just makes me happy. I get warm and fuzzy when I think about you, and I'm not just sharing this just to say it. I hope I don't cry. Because you have done so much for me and my family, the last year and a half. So I just want to say thank you for being that person, and also, for us connecting outside of Forward Foundation and you sharing a little bit about your story. And I think my transparency is important because I connect with people like you. And I don't want to say give you permission because you have full permission. You're a grown person, right? But I hear so many people say, well, I shared XYZ with you because of your transparency. So that is another reason why this platform exists. And I'm just happy to have you here. So if you want to tell people a little bit more about what the Forward Foundation is and what you do with them, I think we can get started there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being one of the loveliest humans I have ever met. And the feeling is mutual as far as just feeling an instant connection. And I am so proud to call you my friend, and I'm so proud of what you have accomplished in the amount of time that we have known one another. With that said, you're welcome. So yes, I am the CEO of Forward Foundation. We are a nonprofit that works to assist single working parents that have encountered some type of life-altering event, whether that be a divorce or extended litigation or loss of job, whatever has happened in their life that has resulted in financial strain. And so the support of the foundation comes in a few different ways. We offer childcare subsidies, we offer community support, and we offer education. And the educational piece to me is so critical because in the message that you bring with your Soul Seat conversations, it's about resilience, it's about strength, it's about not giving up. And it's really important that you have the tools in place to be able to do those things, right? Because when we're going through challenging times, that's hard to grasp that because you're focused in what is happening around you. So the foundation is about what kind of support and resources can we provide during that challenging time to help these single parents get over that hurdle. And the foundation is unique in the sense that we are really a gap filler. We are looking to serve families that typically would not be eligible for services through the state because on paper they're making too much money. But we all know through our own life experiences, that's not the whole story. And so that's something that's really special and unique about the foundation is that we can look at the whole story and we can see beyond numbers on a paper where the challenges are, and are we going to be able to offer that kind of support? And that's what we do. So
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So when I came on board, it was just for women and mothers, and now you guys have extended your offerings to dads, right?
that's right. And it's important, and that was something that was always on, that was part of, part of the plan. But as we were transitioning through everything with COVID and all of the things that everybody had going on, we got a lot of feedback from dads saying, "Hey, what about the dads?" And the dads are important, and there are the numbers of single dads have increased exponentially over the last several years.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of dads that are stepping up and doing, yes, the majority of single parents are mothers, but there are a lot of dads that are stepping up and carrying that that title, as well as being the full-time single parent.
Yeah.
And they need support too. And there's nothing out there to talk about what kind of support dads need. So this is a wonderful opportunity to really get that messaging out, because as we've talked about before, sometimes those challenges that single mothers have are similar. They overlap to what single dads are facing, but sometimes it's very different. And the bottom line is that for the community in which we are serving, these are typically families that haven't had to ask for help before, and that's hard. That's hard. And I know this. I'm not just preaching from a pedestal. I was a single parent for 10 years, and I was raised by a single father. So I've been in the trenches. On both sides.
Yeah.
And it's just, as these numbers grow, having that type of support is really critical to be able to help families succeed. And and it goes back to, what's our personal story, what's our journey, what has happened to us that has brought us along this path, to bring us where we are today. And for me, my path, for so many years, not understanding why I was going through what I was going through and just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I can now look back and say, so this is why. This was the purpose. This is, there's a higher being that has a bigger plan, and many times it's hard to trust that, right? And we have our own plan, and someone else has a bigger plan, and it's being able to trust that and accept that. And it's hard when you're going through the gist of it, right? When you're in the middle of all of it, it's really hard. But there's a reason. You may put at the time, but there's a reason, and you can see your reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is what has led you to where you are today. Had that all not happened to you, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in. You wouldn't have stories, to share. And the same for me.
I love this comment that Dana just said. First of all, when you were sharing about the Forward Foundation, she said that was awesome work that y'all are doing. But I love that. I'm stealing that. Let me take a screenshot. Thank you, Dana. So she said Soul Survivor. I coined it. Thank you for that. I'm going to do something with that. I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you for sharing, Andrea. I feel like you just said that, God has a bigger plan. And now that you can see it unfolding, I don't think a lot of people reach that actualization. So I know you endured a lot to get to where you are, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that. But that's beautiful, especially for me to see, because I'm still going through certain things, and it's becoming more clear, especially now that I'm on my business journey as an entrepreneur. It's becoming more clear, like, why I had to go through certain things. But just to see somebody on the other side of that, having endured everything, and now on the opposite end and kind of serving people that have gone through similar situations too, that's a beautiful thing. So shout out to you for being a thriver. I love that. And I really just want to get into your personal story. Like, who is Andrea? When I first saw you and I heard about your story, I'm just like, wow, I would have never, first of all, I didn't know you were a single mom. And I love the fact that you can relate to that with these men and women that are part of the Forward Foundation. Because like you said, you're not just speaking from a pedestal. You've been there, you know what that struggle is like. So before all of the single parent journey started, like, who was little Andrea? Like, where are you even from?
So I don't necessarily have a home. As far as where I was from, I am one of three children who was born into a family. My dad was a military officer. He was in the Navy. So we traveled and moved every year to 2 years throughout my entire life. My family is originally from Colorado, but we moved all over. I was born in Pennsylvania. I've lived in Spain, moved 9 times before I was 15.
Wow.
I've been all over the place, but I like to say, yes, go Navy. That's right. Um, my
Shout
dad was
out to
a
Lisa.
sailor through and through, absolutely loved the water, loved serving his country, and was just a wonderful representation of serving in the armed forces. So I'm super, super proud to represent him as his daughter. So yeah, I traveled my entire life.
Hmm.
Don't necessarily appreciate it so much when you're a little kid. It's hard, so it puts you in the position where you are constantly trying to fit in, and that's very, very challenging. Um, on top of that, my biological mother was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive. So there was all of that was going on. Um, and I had some health issues. I had some pretty significant health issues growing up, which affected my appearance. And so that made it, again, you're not only are you the outsider and you're constantly moving in, but you're different, right? You look
Right.
different.
Yeah.
I was very much an introvert and very shy, and just always struggled. I just always struggled fitting in, never really felt like I belonged anywhere. So kind of always looked at myself as the underdog, right?
Yeah.
The other. Yeah.
Other. Hmm.
And that was me. It was just kind of survival mode my entire life of do what you've got to do to get through each and every day and figure it out on your own, because there really wasn't. I didn't have a sister. My older brother left when he was still in school and moved to Colorado, so he wasn't really around. And it
We
was
got two
just,
brothers.
I have two brothers, and I'm in the
Okay.
middle, so
Okay.
older, younger,
And you were the middle child.
and I'm middle child. So that speaks for itself, right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and this is not like, I don't, this isn't a sob story. This is my history, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
what it was. And I didn't know any different. I mean, that's all I had. But I also knew something was lacking in that there was never a mother figure. I was very close to my grandmother. Yes, another middle child in the house.
Middle child in the
Um,
house.
Extremely close to my dad's mom, but she lived in Colorado and we only got to see her, a couple times a year. But it was the consistent female relationship that I had in my life. And she made a point to, no matter where we were living, to call weekly. We had a set time, and to always come visit at least once a year wherever we were. So I don't want to make it sound that there wasn't anybody in my life, but consistent
Yeah.
day to day, I didn't have that.
Hmm.
And and it, when we ended up moving from Connecticut, we had been overseas for about 4 years. We had lived in Spain, moved back to Michigan. We were there for a year, and then ended up in Connecticut. We were in Connecticut for 4 years. And that was when I was my middle school and early high school years. So that to me were my really like formative years. Developed some relationships, and I just fell in love with that area. Oh yes, another Connecticut in the house. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
So Dana was actually on Soul Seed Conversations too. She's in Connecticut.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my dad was at not General Electric, General Dynamics. It's been so long. I'm old. I'm trying to remember. But we actually lived in Gales Ferry. So Ledyard. I went to Ledyard High School. And it's small town, so close to New London. Um, Loved it. Absolutely loved the New England area, and that was where I was going to stay. And life took a turn. My dad ended up getting stationed to Virginia. And at that time, my biological mother was supposed to have been leaving, going elsewhere. They were going to divorce, and my dad was going to have custody of us, and that didn't happen. And we ended up in Connecticut, which was not Connecticut, I'm sorry, ended up in Virginia. It was really hard because I was entering into my junior year of high school, and just high school's hard enough. And then you're trying to deal with the move. And I also had to then care for my younger brother and care for the house, and just kind of became the adult, right? Not my dad was working 3 jobs and doing everything that he could, and was a single parent at a time where it was really unheard of for dads to be a single parent. And he needed me. He needed me to help with my younger brother, and I just basically had to put my dreams of going to college on hold. And I was 15. I was 15 years old when that happened. So from 15 to 19, I cared for my younger brother and cared for the household. My dad ended up getting remarried. My younger brother went off to college. And again, at a time when a lot of women went to college, but it was not what it is today. There were a lot of women at that time that got married out of high school, and you're just, basically taught, and this is not for everybody, but basically taught that as long as you marry someone that can take care of you, it's okay. But it was very, very important that my brothers go to college because they were males, and that was really pushed. I'm not taking anything away from my dad. He did the best that he could. It is what it is. So I ended up meeting somebody at 19 that I didn't know very well. Got engaged probably 6 months afterwards, and was married a year to the day after our first date. He was older. He was educated. And
how much older was he, if you don't mind me asking?
6 years. 6 years older. He had been married before. He didn't have children, but he had been married before. And looking back, I knew then I was making a mistake, but I also felt that it was a ticket out, right? It was a ticket out.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
How did you know? Well, what was that feeling like? Was it a feeling that you felt that you were making a mistake, or was it something else?
Oh, it was a feeling. My intuition has always been pretty spot on. But again, for those of you that have sisters, have a good relationship, with your mom, close relationship with your mom, the force that experience has on you, and how much that guidance meant and had an impact on decisions that you make. I didn't have any of that. So I was just trying to figure it out and base it upon what was around me at the time. I cried the entire ceremony, and it wasn't tears of joy. I knew I was making a mistake, but I didn't know what else to do. And I just thought, I'm making this commitment. I'm going to stick to it, and I will find a way to make it work. But very shortly thereafter, I realized I was in a situation that I was probably over my head, but I was committed to doing whatever I needed to do to make it work. I ended up starting college. We got married in June, and I started college. I had just turned 20, started college in September. And we were married for 5 years before I had our daughter, our first daughter. I was 5 months pregnant when I graduated college. And that entire period, we were just like basically roommates. I was working full time. He was working full time. He was going to school, he was getting his master's, I was going to school, and a couple of times actually had talked about separating, throughout that period of time. But I thought, well, if we have a baby, that's going to make things better, solidify things. We can kind of start fresh as we're both graduating. That's never the answer. It's never the answer. And hindsight is always 2020. So during the course of that time, there was a lot of fighting. He had a lot of mental health disorders that I didn't know him well enough to know that ahead of time. I knew that there were alcoholic tendencies within his family, and I was seeing that with him as well. So here I am, barely 25 years old. I've been married for 5 years. I'm now pregnant with my first child, and I'm dealing with someone who is an addict, who has some pretty serious mental illness issues, is struggling to be able to hold down a job, and I'm completely overwhelmed. And then I find out that we're moving. So my
Quick
dad,
question.
yeah.
Do you know if he was ever diagnosed with any mental illness, or was it just your awareness now? You're like, oh, that's what that probably was.
Oh no, he was diagnosed.
Oh,
He was
wow. Okay. And when it was multiple.
multiple.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And serious, pretty serious issues that and out of respect, because it's not I'm going to tell my story. That's not my story. So I'm not going to go into specific details, but serious stuff. Oh, and my son-in-law is on here. Hi, Chase.
Hey, Chase.
So there, and again, I'm kind of diving deep into all of this to just help people understand my back history, and the steps of my journey, and what I have been able to not just survive. And there was a period of time that it was a long period of time that it was surviving, but ended up being able to thrive, because of these experiences. And so again, I share all of this because I know that there are others that are out there suffering in silence like I was, and know that you're not alone. That from the outside looking in, we all seem to think everyone else has it together, and many times it's a facade. We're hiding behind a screen to make it look like we've got it together, we've got it figured out, we've got it under control, and we don't. And that's okay. For many of us, in the years that I was going through all of this, there was a lot of shame involved. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that I got married when I did. I was embarrassed that I didn't go to school when, my friends had been able to go, and had that experience. And throughout the process, when you're going through something similar, because it wasn't just that he was an addict, it wasn't just that he suffered from severe mental illness, he also was abusive. There was a lot of emotional and verbal abuse that was going on. I was never physically abused, but things were thrown, or fists were punched through walls, that type of thing. So there was a lot of violent outbursts and a lot of this Jekyll and Hyde behavior.
Yeah.
So
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you give an example for people listening? Because I know a lot of people, when they hear that word abuse, the first thing many people do think about is the physical aspect. But you've got financial, you've got emotional, verbal,
Yeah,
and so many others I probably can't even think of right now. But can you give an example of what emotional abuse looked like for you?
yeah. And I'm glad that I'm really glad that you asked that, because you're right, Soleil. So many people hear abuse and they immediately think of physical abuse, but abuse comes in a lot of different forms. And the more that we can understand it, hopefully the more we can prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
So emotional abuse is, is interesting. We all know what verbal
Mhm.
abuse is, when someone's screaming at you, or even not screaming at you, just in what they are saying to you that ends up beating you down. But the emotional abuse comes from this eating away by behaviors and, actions, behaviors, words that eat away at your self-worth. And
Mm.
eventually, and I think we're all pretty familiar with narcissism, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, narcissists know how to do these things.
Yep.
And we need to understand that so that we can be on point in either preventing it or being able to recognize it and do something about it. They
And it's
beat,
very covert. It's very covert.
yeah, it is very covert.
Hmm.
And people, the thing with narcissists is that, and abusers, is that they are very calculated in
Hmm.
how they do things. So they will do something and say it's an outburst and immediately apologize for it and say it's never going to happen again, and they're so sorry and they love you more than anything, and um, I'm going to show you I'm changing, I'm a changed person, and you believe it because you want to believe that it is going to change,
Yeah.
but it happens over and over and over again. And
Yep.
so over a course of a
Yep.
period of time, um, it it completely strips you of
Mhm.
your self-worth, your
Yep.
value as a human.
Yep.
And I kept thinking, and many of us do as women, because we're fixers, right? We're the nurturers. We want to be able to make it better. We don't want to give up. We want to keep fighting.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is you completely lose your voice, you lose your value, you lose any sense of identity of who you are. Um, and for me, I just ended up in this black hole. And I could see for years what that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't know how to articulate what it was.
Yeah,
And
because when you go to start doing it, it sounds ridiculous to other people if they haven't experienced, or it sounds minute, but it's
right,
like it's hard to articulate what you've been going through. So I definitely understand that.
yes. And the longer that it goes on, you begin to really doubt yourself.
Yes, you start second guessing yourself and your reality when you know deep down in your gut this feeling, this is not right.
That's right.
Somebody literally would have to be a fly on the wall in your home to understand what it is that you're having a hard time articulating.
And that's a big part of it, is that as you lose your voice and you lose your value, you are kind of falling deeper and deeper into the abyss, and trying to be able to, when you're second guessing everything, because the comments that you're getting back are, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. That's all in your head. You know, what you're saying is reality isn't true." And you know that it is,
Yeah.
but that period of time you're just questioning absolutely
Yeah.
everything.
And when it's somebody that you love and they say they love you too, I think that mixed in everything just kind of creates a recipe for disaster. And that it has a large part of it's a large part of why you question, like, is this really real? Like this person
Right.
says they love me. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if you have children together,
Yes.
you that makes it even more challenging, because none of us want to leave a relationship and have two separate households and all of the challenges that come with that. None of us
It's like
want.
a domino effect. It affects, even though it's probably best for you to leave the situation as the person being abused, there are children involved, family members involved. So it's a trickle down effect. And you're thinking about all of that, which is why so many people stay in those situations.
And that's where the water gets so muddy, right? Because for me, I kept thinking, I can fix this. I don't want to, I'm committed. I don't want to break up this family, and I'm going to stick it out for my children. And what ends up happening in my instance, and I see it in a lot of others, is it really is to the detriment of the children. We think we're helping them, But in so many different areas, it really is worse for them.
Yeah.
And the trauma that they witness, that they endure, the um, really kind of skewed vision of what they have of what a healthy relationship should be and looks like,
Yeah.
is just ingrained because they've seen it for so long. If it's best not to endure that if you are in some type of toxic relationship.
Yeah.
um, you've got to put yourself first, and that's what ends up happening is we lose our voice, we lose our worth, we lose our value, and we think we're putting the children first, but it's costing us so much, and it's costing the children so much. And
And even
um
when they don't say anything, kids notice everything. They
they
feel the vibes in the house. They notice your expressions. They pick up on everything. So, like you said, staying in those situations, it's teaching them inadvertently that this is okay. And that
that's
when I get in a relationship, oh, this looks like what mom and dad had. They were fine. This is all I'm used to. And then they end up in that cycle too. So, I know the vision for a lot of people is that two-parent household, and it shouldn't be. Uh-oh, can y'all still hear me? I see her screen at the bottom going around.
yeah
Put
you
in the chat if you can still hear me.
it's better now.
Can
Yeah.
you still hear me? Okay. All right. Sorry. Let me make sure. Can you guys still see me? Because on my end, her screen is doing this circle thing. Can y'all see me? I want to make sure it's not my phone. Okay, you can hear me. Can you see me? Okay, you can still hear me. All right, so we got to get Andrea back. And you guys cannot see it and hear her, right? It's like frozen. Thank y'all for sticking in here with us. Okay, you can't see her. All right, so we got to get Andrea back. Maybe she'll log off and log back in. So I'll stay on. But just thanking her for this story. Again, like you see people and you just never know what they've endured, to be where they are. So I'm just grateful that, she's given us space. I think she's going to come back probably. Giving us space and trusting this safe space to share her story. I had no idea, y'all. I knew she was married, but I didn't know that that was not her first marriage. So I'll let her share all of that stuff. But for somebody that's watching that is in a domestic situation and they're questioning, is this healthy or not? If you have to, it is, y'all. It is an amazing story. What's up, Sagey, Vanessa? That sunshine is beautiful on you. Thank you, gorgeous. If you're in a situation where you're questioning things, if you got to question it, it's probably something going on. I'm grateful for her transparency too. I'm so proud. It just makes me, I just get so full. Okay, I got to invite you again. All right. I get so full doing this kind of work and sharing stories because people need to hear it. It's somebody that this video probably will reach. And if y'all know somebody or tag somebody or share this video to somebody that needs to hear it, like people going through things and we just don't know that they're going through it. All right, you back.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. It just froze and then disappeared.
It's always something with Instagram. I'm going to find a way to start doing this on another platform, but we got you back. There you go.
I'll go here. So yeah, I mean, I think that as parents, we get in this rut, and we think we're supposed to do what we falsely believe is expected of us, instead
Yeah.
of really understanding what is best for us,
Yeah.
and what ultimately is going to be the most healthy for our children. And I think, again, for me, I put myself on the back burner because I was just in survival mode. It was whatever I need to do to take care of my children. And I knew as the years went by, I was getting deeper and deeper in a situation that I just didn't know how I was going to get out of. And I had worked part-time for, many years, but really had not
Quick
had a
question.
career.
Before
Yeah.
you transition into that part of your story, I did have a pressing question because this is something that I know a lot of other people want to know too. When your ex-husband got his diagnosis, how did that happen? Because there's so many men and people in general that won't go to the doctor, that will never step foot in a therapist's office. So how did that happen? Was it something that he was willing to do, or?
No, I don't think it was something that he wanted to do. And I think that I think that he probably had information that he had withheld and I
Mhm.
didn't know about until we had a crisis
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
Um,
So
so it was then that, and I mean, I certainly suspected, I was obviously not an expert, but I was like, this is something much bigger than I ever thought it was, and I don't know how to handle this. So he had started going to therapy, but then there was a crisis
got
situation,
it. So there
and
was a crisis situation. Okay, I see you're transitioning your story. I don't know if you saw this, me still talking when you checked out the first time, but um, there were a couple of comments I wanted to read real quick.
oh yeah,
So Lisa says, was it Lisa that was first? Yeah, she says highlighting and recognizing all forms of abuse is so important. Dana says they beat you down with their words. They are pillars of society, but a devil in the house. The law of assumptions manifests. You're right about that.
yeah,
Manifest what is fake to become real. And then what else? Robin says, amazing story. She's grateful for your transparency. And Lisa also says, I did domestic violence training with the Richmond YWCA, such an eye opener. I'm pretty sure that was. And Dana, to answer your question, I think we're about to get into that side of the story. She wanted to know, she said, thanks for sharing your story, but what made you have the strength to leave? So before we get there, wherever you're about to go ahead and go there.
yeah. I'm trying to remember where I had left off. You were asking me about how how
Yeah.
I about the diagnosis.
You
Um,
had talked about your job. That's where you were at the time.
okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, just you know, in talking about how do you make that transition? How do you know when is the right time?
Yeah.
And for one of us, it's obviously different, right?
Yeah.
It depends on the circumstances. Um, but I had gotten to the point at 48 years old and had been married for 28 years,
You stayed in
living
that relationship for a long time.
a long time, but he had been living elsewhere for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So that's my single parenthood. I was still technically married, but he was living elsewhere for 10 years. And I just got
What
to the
happened with
point
that? Was
he couldn't
was
keep a
that the
job.
time? Remember you? Okay.
Is that what you were going to ask me? I'm sorry, you froze.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask you, with that 10-year period where you were by yourself, I'm like, what initiated that? How did that happen?
He couldn't keep a job, and he got in trouble and couldn't find a job locally.
Mm,
So ended up having to go somewhere else to find a job. And I had a lot of people say, well, why didn't you move? Why wouldn't you, keep the family together? Because at that point, my oldest daughter was getting ready to start high school. She had worked really hard to get accepted into a specialty center that she was excited about. She was a competitive dancer. Everybody had something going on, and I just felt like with
hmm.
everything that had happened, he
Yeah.
needed to know, like it was his doing, and I wasn't going to uproot everybody to then
Right.
be somewhere else and try to start over, um, when he wasn't showing commitment and stability and all of that. So
That's right.
and I don't need to justify, but that's why I did what I did.
I'm
And
glad you said that though. I think that people needed to hear that too.
it's important that, again, we're not giving everything up for them, and we're continuing to be under their thumb. And that was
That's right.
probably the first time that I did really say, no, I'm not doing this. We can see what happens, and then maybe we can talk about it later, but I'm not
That's
uprooting.
right. That's right.
This was your doing. What you did was wrong, and it put you in the predicament that you're in now.
That's
So
right.
um he, at that, for those then remaining 10 years, typically he would come home late on a Friday night and he would leave early on a Sunday morning. And over the course of that period of time, my anxiety got just over the top, because kind of starting by Wednesday of the week, I would start going in panic mode, knowing that he was going to be home late on Friday night and it would be just chaos at the house. And so I would plan whatever I could do to be out of the house while he was there. And again, a couple of times had said, I don't want you coming home, kind of thing. That wasn't an option. He was going to do what he was going to do.
Right.
So we had another crisis situation. I was locked in the bathroom with my youngest daughter, who was getting ready to, she was a senior in high school. My two oldest daughters were already in college.
How many girls do you have?
Three.
Okay.
Three children. And again, remember, survival mode. Whatever I needed to do to make sure my kids were okay and a roof was on their head and they were going to get to college. And I'm not saying that was the right way to be, because it was just laser focus, and I made a lot of mistakes parenting because of that. But I was so scared that I didn't want them to end up in a situation like I had ended up in. I wanted them to have that education. I wanted them to have that experience. And that's why I stayed and did what I did. But we had a crisis situation where he was on another drunken tirade. And my daughter looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, Mom, why are you still here? What are you doing?
Wow.
And that was it for me. So like, I had been so scared. I had been so ashamed. I was so embarrassed. We lived in a nice house, and, my kids were, well-adjusted, great kids. And from the outside looking in, it, again, looks like nothing is wrong. I had spent so much time and energy hiding what was happening behind those doors, and I just didn't have it in me anymore. I felt like I wanted to die. And that scared me enough to decide that if I give up and I decide I don't want to be here anymore, my kids will have nobody.
Yeah.
There was nobody, and there no other family. There was nobody. And I couldn't do that to them. They had been through so much, and they had fought so hard and worked so hard to get where they were. And they had these amazingly bright futures ahead of them. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I was going to leave. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I had to have a full-time job. I had worked multiple part-time jobs, but I needed a full-time job. I needed benefits. And without going into all the gory details, I lost my house. My house went into foreclosure. I took a job, just, startup admin, working for a landscaping service, horrible job. But it was the first step into my independence. And before I was even able to do that, I needed to find some type of physical strength in me to pull up my boots and say, whatever it's going to take, you're going to do this. And that started with actually working out. It started.
Before you get to that part, because I have a question at the end. I'll ask you, what do you do? Not about your profession, but what things that you do to thrive on the journey that you're on. So hold off on that part for me.
Okay.
There was one question real quick that I wanted to ask you. Hold on one second. I think we answered that. So what age, if you don't mind, because I know some women don't like aging themselves, but from what age to what age were you in your marriage?
I was engaged at 19, married at 20, and was married for 28 years. So I left my marriage right before I turned, or was I 49? I guess I was 49.
Wow.
Divorced by 49. I decided that I wanted a divorce at 48, divorced by 49.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So it's funny because well, interesting. In the beginning you were saying like you stayed in the relationship mostly for your children, and then your children were the same ones that like initially essentially like, Mom, you got to get out of here. I
Yeah.
think it's interesting because like you'll do anything for your kids. Like you thought you were doing the right thing, quote unquote, in the beginning by staying for so long, and then those same little people were like, we gotta, so I think that's a beautiful testament to motherhood and to you just doing literally anything for your kids. So that part of the story really like touched my heart. So shout out to your daughter for speaking up. I know that was a scary night, and I also wanted to read a couple more comments too. When you were sharing about your story, Dana says, good for you. I guess assuming, speaking to when you said you left. And then Chef Hedden said, you probably could relate to your oldest daughter because your life changed when you moved to Virginia. And that's so funny because my life changed when I moved to Virginia too. So we have that in common, which is interesting. And Lisa says, such strength. I agree. And Dana says you wanted to spread your wings and finally fly. Yes, honey, she flying high now.
Yeah. And I
So
never had the opportunity to fly. I mean, I was a baby when I
when you
got
got
married,
married,
and
yes.
I didn't know, that's the other thing, right? Like we think we know everything when we're teenagers and early 20s, and we've got the answers for everything, and Lord have mercy, we do not. And you just really don't kind of come into your own. And I'm speaking for myself, but I think probably a lot of people would agree with me that you don't really figure out who you really are till you get to your 30s. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. And honestly, sometimes later,
Yes.
I know 40-year-olds that are still figuring it out. You spent all of your formative, self-explorative years married at a
Yes.
young age. So you probably still figuring out who Andrea is like as a
Absolutely.
person.
Because I'd never had a chance to really understand who I was or what I wanted or what I needed, because I didn't know. I hadn't had the chance or the opportunities to figure that out, to explore, to have the adventures. I just never had that. And so when I started dating, again, at my daughter's really urging, because I had decided I would never get married again. I would never, I wanted to have fun and be able to enjoy someone's company. But
Mm-hmm.
the thought of getting married again,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, totally understand that.
I was like, I am good forever. Like, I don't ever have that commitment to, to be tied to somebody again. But again,
Uh-huh.
that is a warped view, because
Mm-hmm.
that came from unhealthy relationships. And healthy relationships, you would come out with a very different view, and you would say that is something that I would love to have, right? Because
Absolutely.
you've witnessed and been a part of healthy, loving partners and relationships. And so I
Mm.
want to point that out too, that
Yes.
into that, because
Absolutely.
we can easily become, very anti everything, right? Based upon bad experiences. And that can be changed. It can be
I love that.
when you are part of a healthy relationship, but more importantly, understand what a healthy relationship entails.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. So on that note, I want to ask you this. What can you say to someone that is in a relationship they know they shouldn't be in with the person that's abusive, all the different types of abuse we already went over and the ones we didn't. And then on the other side, somebody that knows that they are in a situation. Did I say that already? That knows that they are in that situation and they don't quite know if they're in a situation where they're being abused. Like, what can you say to those people if they're considering leaving or if they should consider? I hope that makes sense.
It does. And I, depending on, there are a lot of different beliefs out there. And I want to reinforce again, I am not at all anti-marriage or anti-relationship. It's all about healthy relationships. And if you have grown up and been surrounded by a healthy relationship, or if you haven't, your views are going to be very different of what that looks like. And what I want you to do is hopefully be able to recognize, I think our intuition as women is usually pretty good. And if we haven't been exposed to a healthy relationship, I think we have a pretty good intuition based upon our surroundings and people we know and what we hear if something is amiss. And listen to that voice. Trust your intuition. I'm not saying you have to act immediately, unless obviously there is a reason to, but pay attention to it. Don't bury that voice. Don't bury that gut feeling that something doesn't feel right, because we all get that. And find somebody that you trust, that you feel close to, and talk to them about it. That's key. Don't be so many women that I've talked to, and men too, that have been in bad relationships that are so afraid to talk about it because they're embarrassed or they're ashamed of what's going on. And they feel like they have to put this facade up that all is well. Don't. Find the people that you trust the most, whether it's your siblings or your parent or your friend, whoever that person is in your life that you trust. Go to them, talk it out, get some feedback. Think about it, and go with your gut. Just go with your gut. You probably the biggest piece of advice I can share is know who you are and don't lose your voice. Don't lose the fact that you are unique in your way, your own special way. And no matter what somebody is telling you that you need to change or that you need to fix or that isn't right, no. I'm not saying that there aren't things that we all need to work on and improve, but we are who we are. And we want to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And that's something that we all work on every single day. But ultimately, how you are made up is who you are, and embrace it. And if it's not working in the relationship that you're in, that doesn't mean that it's not right. It just means it's not the right relationship. Because you find the right person, you balance each other out. And it's not about I need you to complete me kind of thing. It's that you complete each other. Really.
And you complement each other.
Absolutely. And that's a much better word, compliment, than complete. So yes. And that you are both willing to give and take. And sometimes that's a 90-10. Sometimes that's a 60-40. Sometimes, whatever that ratio is, it's acceptable in what's going on at that moment, and that you are working together, and there will be peaks and valleys. But if somebody is talking down to you, if somebody is making you feel that you aren't good enough or that you aren't doing enough, and constantly pushing their way is the only way on you, something's wrong, and it's time to reevaluate. And nobody can tell you what is the right thing to do, but take the time to really evaluate what's going on and do what you feel is best for you, not for anybody else, not even for your children. Do what's best for you, because you're not going to be able to parent in the manner in which your children need you to if you're not taking care of you and what your needs are. And I want to just add one other thing to that. When we give ourselves 100% to our kids all the time, what we're teaching them is that they are entitled to 100% of what they need, always first and foremost before everything else. Not healthy at all. We need to teach them that you have to take care of your internal being. And that in turn affects your physical health. And that's going to make you the best version of you that you can be. So do not give up yourself and what your needs are for anybody else, including your children.
Mm-hmm.
Because I eventually started like stepping out and, experimenting with dating or who am I and what brings me joy. My kids were kind of looking at me like, who are you? What do you mean you're not available when I need you for something? And
Right.
they were
Right.
old, right? Like my kids
Yeah.
were in college at this point, but
Yeah.
all they had ever seen
Yep.
was that I made them always, everything else I would work around whatever their needs were. And that
Mm.
was a
Mm.
healthy
That's
way to raise them.
that's good. You said a lot. You said a
Yeah.
lot. I got a lot from there. I was thinking like, oh damn, she talking to me. Like
Yeah.
but it was a lot of good stuff in there. So one of the notes I have on my paper, we talked about you having a mentor, or you wanted to talk about like mentorship or yeah. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that? Because I want you to answer that because I want to go into how you built yourself back up. You spent a very long time in a toxic marriage, and I know that took a lot of like rebuilding and like you just said, figuring out who you are, but and finding your voice. But I don't think a lot of people get to where you are. So if you could just share like what things that you did on your personal journey to build yourself back up after that amount of time would be awesome.
Yeah. And it was, baby steps. It was baby steps and learning to give yourself grace. I'll just throw that out there at the very beginning because that's also very hard for us to do. So the
Yeah.
first thing that I started doing is I felt physically sick. Like it was hard for me to move and function and so I started working out. And it was little by little. I had never been in a gym before, so I'd go to a corner and find like an elliptical machine and,
Mm-hmm.
do that just slowly to get my body moving, which that's hard to start up to when I'd never done anything like that before. But I knew I needed to do something to keep myself alive. And so that movement gave me,
Yes.
that adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
That something to make me feel like there was blood flowing through my
Right.
veins.
Alive,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
So it started with that. And then it kind of built up to taking classes at the gym. And I kind of had a group that I would hang out with. And it turned into really my friend group. I would go to the gym after work and I became a little obsessive about it because I got so much peace from not only moving my body, but being around these people that were motivating me to, and while that was happening, when I initially started doing it was to become physically stronger. But
Mm-hmm.
when I started really getting involved in making it a daily thing, I realized I was becoming tremendously more emotionally stronger. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was in the martial arts class and I was
Yes.
every face that, you can imagine, it was just seriously like blood pumping through my veins. And I was like, I'm going to beat you, like, I'm getting my strength back with every punch that I'm throwing. Right.
That's right.
And so it started with that. And then it was kind of like what I touched on earlier. It was figuring out who did I feel safe with that
Mm-hmm.
I could actually share a little bit with, that I was, that, what was going on, because I'll be, again, very transparent. I hid this well.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of people that were shocked when all of this happened. Nobody knew. They knew that, the marriage wasn't great because we didn't live together for 10 years, but they didn't know to the extent of what was happening in the
Right.
background.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never shared that really up until this past year. And we'll touch more on that. But it was finding people that I felt safe with. And little by little, reaching out to whatever that looked like, to talk to have a coffee with.
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of finding your people, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Your tribe.
your tribe, exactly.
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with just those people and letting, we get caught up with, they're not talking to me anymore because of, the relationship ended, or my kids, had, they used to hang out all the time and we don't see each other, right? Because we go through those phases of life. I know Samad is little, but you'll see that your friends kind of become your kids' friends, depending on what activities they have going on. And so all of these friends that you think you're super close to, all of a sudden it's like, well, what happened to them? Where'd they go? Oh, well, it was a phase of life, right? Like we
Yeah.
were, when we were going, our kids were doing this and doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, when it comes time to major life change, many times you lose friends that were friends of both you and your partner. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to understand that, yes, you may want to grieve that loss, but also recognize it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Because if they're not going to be there with you through the toughest points of your life, recognize what kind of friend that is. And I'm not saying they don't matter. I'm just saying that we have different groups of friends, right? Like we have ones that are fun to go hang out with, and we have that small handful of those that we know we can reach out to for anything and everything.
Yeah.
Be okay with that. But surround yourself, find out who those people are, and keep
Mm-hmm.
them close.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are feeling safe enough to maybe share more that's going on, you will. But you do it in your own time. And there was a period of, once I left the marriage, started stepping out into the workforce and working full time, there were some job transitions that kind of led me into the nonprofit arena. It wasn't something that I ever had thought, this is what I'm going to do. And that kind of goes back to our purpose, right? Like what we went through and how it led us to where we are today. Doing what I'm doing now, I would have never in a million years ever thought that that would have been where I would land. God had a bigger plan. And so finding those people and seeking out their support, but also their advice. And again, recognizing those that you really trust and respect, and those that, you're interested in opinions, but take it with a grain of salt, right? Like a la carte method,
Right.
some of it's not.
Yeah.
And and over the course of, it's been 8 years, almost 9 years, over that period of time, your vision becomes so much more clear, right? The fog starts to fade away, and you're able to really see things in a completely different light. And finding those people that you trust, that you respect, that you feel safe with, those are the people that you want to keep close around you. And know that no matter what's going to happen, they're going to have your back. You don't have to, those are the friends that you don't have to talk to every day, right? That you don't have to feel that you're constantly trying to keep up with. It's the relationships, and we all know which ones they are, that months can go by.
Yeah.
And you see one another and you start talking and you immediately pick back up where you left off.
That's right. Yep.
Nobody's asking for, apologies or making excuses. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I'm talking about, that you want to surround yourself with. And so when I talk about mentors, those are my mentors. Those are the people that said, I'm here for you when you need me.
That's
and
right.
There was no push for anything other than, you're ready. When you want to talk, you need me, I'm here. And they were.
And that's
And
it.
that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. That's
So,
so important. I'm glad you touched on that, because that's what y'all do with the Forward Foundation. Y'all create community, and even when you were talking just now, it really solidified like what the Soul Tribe means to me. You know, it's like you said, you don't have to talk every day. It's just
yeah.
that you feel it in your spirit, you feel it in your soul. This is a good person. I can trust this person, and when I need them, when the time is right, if I need to talk, they're there. That's what the Soul Tribe is. You explained that perfectly. So I know earlier you were going into like talking about working out. I want to ask you again, what do you do? So other than working out, after all that you have endured, how do you keep yourself sane? How do you thrive? How do you relax? Like, what are those things that work for you on your journey?
Um, keeping it real, first
Mm,
off. Not do, and it's a daily effort, but to constantly work on keeping the exterior noise on the exterior.
yeah. Oh, I like
Um,
that.
because our lives and our society today is chaotic enough. And 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 being true and transparent and constantly living day to day in a manner of which how I want others to be able to treat me.
Mm,
So it's a daily thing. It is moving my body. It is, you know, spending time with my family. Um, it is pouring myself into my purpose, which is to help guide other women, men, single parents in general, um, through a tough time,
yeah.
and always wanting them to know that they're not alone.
Mm,
Um, in whatever manner that is, whether it's talking on the phone, whether it's meeting for a cup of coffee,
yeah.
whether it's what kind of support can I provide, whether it's just listening.
That's
Listening
right.
is huge. Um, that's what fills me up, and that's what allows me the strength on the days that I'm feeling maybe not so great and life is just taking a toll that day, that
Mm-hmm.
I can focus my energies on what what can I do to pour into others?
Yeah.
How can I best be of support and love and guidance to others that are struggling? Because there's so many of us that are out there, um, and doing it in silence or doing
Yeah.
it in shame. And I just want to take that away. And
Mm-hmm.
so by being transparent, this is new for me.
Yeah.
I didn't start talking about this stuff
Mm.
until really within this year, like the
Wow.
last, um,
Wow.
because I have always felt I'm going to be judged. I'm going to, am I worthy of being in the position that I'm in?
Mm.
Really, like why me? Right? Like who thinks and what Andrea has to say is important or makes a difference.
Mm.
But then I also have to say to myself, those are my limiting beliefs. And I need to make that go away, because the only person that's thinking that is me. And if someone else is thinking it, that's okay, but that's on them. It's
That's
not
right. Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. You just really like personify what it looks like to have gone through years of abuse, what it does to your mind, what it does to your thinking, and then you transforming that into what healing looks like, essentially. Like you said, it's not a destination, it's a journey. You're always doing this thing, but you have more tools when you invest in yourself to start that healing journey. So it sounds like to me you've done a lot of like inner work and self work and talking to yourself like, Andrea, we ain't doing that today. You know, that's what the old you thought, the things that you endured allowed your mind to start thinking those thoughts. But on the other side of that, it's like, what I have to say is important. I'm important. I'm helping other people. Me being transparent is helping them. So kudos to you. That's amazing to me, that you just started sharing this year. And I see so many more opportunities coming your way and just blessings and connections. I'm sure you have a rich life now, but from what I've seen in my little 31 years, just being transparent, just being myself, taking off all those labels of what people thought I was supposed to be. It's been really freeing, and I just have way more soul connections with people and build my soul tribe much more faster than I would if I was just closed off and keeping everything to myself. So I do see that for you. So I appreciate you sharing. And I also want to ask you, I think those are all my questions, but if anybody else has any questions, and then I want to read a couple more comments and then let you say any last words. But this has been really powerful and moving as always. Um, let's see. So Vanessa earlier said that's how my grandma left. My mom got her an apartment when she turned 18 and snuck her and my aunt out of the house. Oh, wow.
Mm-mm-mm.
Dana also says, thank you for sharing that, Vanessa. Dana says it's okay to not be okay. When you realize that, then you can ask for help. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And there's so many more people willing to help you, even if they can't. I learned about the Forward Foundation through a Facebook post. I was so stressed out and I was tired of doing everything by myself because I had all these deadlines to meet with my current job at the time. I'm trying to parent my son. I'm trying to find daycare literally the morning I wake up to go to work. This woman decided she didn't want to answer her phone or her door. I had to find childcare, and I'm like, I cannot do all this by myself. So I went and I made a post. I didn't go into detail. I'm just like, do y'all know some daycares or something? And somebody else was like, I guess they thought you guys were a daycare. She didn't even know who y'all were. She actually, she took everything that I said, I can pay this much, I need this area, blah blah blah. She took what I said and she posted it into this women's networking group, and somebody under that post tagged you all, but they didn't even know exactly what you did. They were like, oh, I know somebody that just went through this foundation, and yeah, that's how I found out about it. So just being transparent and like putting your pride to the side. It's like, I can't do this, can somebody help me?
Yes.
So it's a beautiful thing, transparency. Dancing and the women in my dance class helped me through a tough time. I would not have made it without that piece. That's what Lisa said. That's beautiful. What's
Yes.
up, for Lady Lashes? Dana also says, thank you for sharing your story. And she just repeated what you said. How did you heal? You were keeping it real. And Dana also says, she has beautiful artwork, by the way. She says, I'm healing through my art. I hope to share my light with others through my art and my story. You've already started to do that on this platform. Y'all go check out Dana's interview. It's on our YouTube and it's also in our IGTV. Very, very moving. Healing is never final. It's a never ending process. That's right. What's up, Rich Confidence? So we have another confident from our girl, Robin. She says, this has helped me so much. A ton of great takeaways. Oh, I love that. Lisa says, asking for help is so hard. It is, but it's one of them. It's going to free you up. It's like you take a burden, you literally take a burden off your shoulders and put that thing wherever it needs to go. You take it off of you. It's hard, but it's necessary.
So true.
This has been wonderful. If nobody knew you and knew your story, is there anything that you would run to a rooftop and say to people? Can you think of something?
Just live your life with purpose. Find your purpose and live your life as it, we hear this all the time, as if it's your last day, right? Because we waste so much time worrying about judgment, worrying about opinions, worrying about our worth and our reason for being. And if we can just accept our uniqueness and our presence, believe in it, run with it, spread your wings and truly fly. Because I think we waste so much time trying to figure it out. And then, we're is it the right time? Has it been earned? All of these things, stop questioning. Just stop questioning and I just focus on each day. Wake up each day grateful that you got to wake up and live it with purpose. Whatever that means for you. Find something that brings you joy and just pour it out onto others. And And don't ever be ashamed of who you are, because your past does not define you. And each and every day you are growing and learning and supporting those around you and yourself. And that's all you need to do.
That's it.
Be the best that you can be each and every day, and that's enough. That's all you need to do. So stop beating yourself up and live your life with purpose. Find joy in the smallest things. And if you don't have joy and pleasure in your life, let it go. Whatever that is, let it go. It's there. You just can't see it yet.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of the fog, you will.
Beautiful.
That's
I
all
love it. I love it. I love it. Lisa says, this is a blessing I didn't know I needed. Thank you. Blessings. All. She says, so powerful and so true. This was great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a thriver. Thank you for allowing yourself to share your story. And I can't wait to see everything else that's on the horizon for you and for the foundation. So she's the CEO, Dana Act. She's the CEO at the Forward Foundation. So y'all can go check out, what is it? Forwardfoundation.org, Forward Foundation VA.
ForwardFoundationVA.org. And the VA is on there because there are a lot of other Forward Foundations throughout the country. But we have the Triskelion symbol. We have the symbol. So that's what sets us apart. And if you add VA, then you will find us. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We have the ride coming up. So, we'll talk about more of that later. But
yeah, so reach out and just go to their social medias and their website to find out ways that you can support. Whether you live in Virginia, if you know a single mom or single dad, pass their information, pass the Forward Foundation information along to them. And that's it, y'all. This has been episode 10 of Soul Seat Conversations. We had Miss Andrea Starr. Oh, I didn't tell everybody, but she's in a thriving, happy, beautiful marriage now, honey. And that man is so nice. He's so I didn't even think the man was going to know who I was. I met him a couple months ago at our gala, and he knew all of our names. He knew everything about us, and it was beautiful. I would be remiss if I did not share that part of your story, because it really inspired me that I'm going to find love again, honey. Even if it's just me. I love myself now as I am. But just knowing that Andrea, went through what she went through for so long, and having to fight through those limiting beliefs and the damage essentially that was done emotionally and mentally, the fact that she did that, and she has somebody that lifts her up, that loves her, that supports her through everything that she does, and literally is invested and cares about what she does, i.e. the Forward Foundation and the moms and dads a part of it, was beautiful to witness. So congratulations on that, on trusting yourself to date again and to find love again and to get married again. You didn't want to do that. And picking a good partner.
Yep.
That's beautiful. And it was I loved meeting your husband. It was wonderful. And I had to share that. I feel like that's going to touch somebody too. So yes, she went through a lot of stuff, but she's walking in her purpose, and she's in a beautiful, healthy, happy marriage. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, other than he is my biggest cheerleader. And that's what you need to find, is that partner that really is going to have your back.
Yep.
No matter what. That is the key. That is the key to the healthy balance.
That's right.
And he loves you guys. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna stay on for a couple more minutes, but I am gonna go ahead, and I gotta figure out how to kick you out, Andrea.
I don't know.
Do you see an X button at the top right?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's how it.
Let me see. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
That was right up my nose. Sorry about that. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a great day, and thank you again.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye.
Please.
All right. There we go. You have a great rest of the day as well, Lisa. This was awesome, y'all. Episode 10. We've been doing this thing for almost a year. Join us next month for episode 11. This replay will be up on IGTV if you missed it. Shout out to the Soul Tribe. Thank y'all for being engaging, asking questions, for being inspired. Send this to somebody. I feel like a lot of us know somebody that will be inspired by this story, especially that ending part that I just shared. So Share it with somebody. Share Soul Rise Essentials with somebody. You can always shop all of our merch at soulriseessentials.com. Soul Seek Conversations is just an extension of Soul Rise Essentials, where we further build the global wellness community called the Soul Tribe. This is just one way that we do it. So again, thank y'all for being here. This is amazing. I got all the feel goods. I'm about to have a really good day today. This will also be up on our YouTube channel. Go follow us on YouTube. You will also see this. If you have people that are not on Instagram that you want to share this with, share our YouTube channel with them. Okay. Thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for sticking around. This has been great. I hope y'all have an amazing day. See y'all next month for episode 11. Oh, if you made it to the end, if you're watching the replay and you made it to the end, drop some sunshine emojis down in the comments. Let me see who rocking with us for real. Bye, Dana. Y'all have an amazing day. Stay well, be well. Peace, y'all.